Hello guys, this is Mr. Hall again, back with another lesson for biology. Today we'll be talking about the human immune system. This is lesson 5, so we'll get right into it right now. Here is the vocabulary. We'll talk about lymph nodes and phagocytes and phagocytosis. So starting with the immune system, we're made up of 3 different systems: the lymphatic, innate, and adaptive system. Right here is a chart basically telling us the different human systems we have, and we're going to go through this later on once we get into the questions. But if you want to take a look at it, this is all the different parts. We have tonsils, the right lymphatic duct, thoracic duct, thymus gland, spleen, intestinal lymph nodes, appendix, bone marrow, and then in that it's lymph vessels and lymph nodes. So with the lymphatic system, it is similar to the circulatory system, but instead of carrying blood, the veins carry tissue fluid. The tissue fluids only flow towards the heart and not away. That's different from the circulatory system. With that being said, the lymphatic system has no arteries, only veins. And then for tissue fluid, it is a fluid that forms when water and dissolved substances diffuse out the bloodstream and collects in open lymph capillaries. Once the tissue fluid enters the lymph capillaries, it is now referred to as a lymph. So, also continuing with the circulatory system, the capillaries open to large vessels called lymph veins. These lymph veins join together and form 2 lymph ducts, and they're filtered into several lymph organs before being returned into the bloodstream and your shoulder area. So some of the lymph organs include the lymph nodes and lymphocytes. Lymph nodes are small masses of tissue that filter lymph. Inside the lymph nodes are lymphocytes. Lymphocytes are special types of white blood cells that defend the body against foreign substances like pathogens, which we'll talk about more later on. We also have tonsils, thymus glands, and spleen. And the spleen is an organ that filters foreign substance out the blood, not lymph. And the thymus gland is located right above the heart, and it has produced many of the lymphocytes. And then tonsils are just an organ in the back of the mouth and throat, and there are large groups of lymph nodes and provide protection in the mouth and nasal cavities. Now we'll talk about the innate immune system. It includes body parts that fight off or protect the body from a wide variety of diseases, simply by being themselves. They are not specific, and they always work in the same, no matter which pathogen they are protecting against. Going on, we're talking about the skin, which is a first line of defense. It's kind of like a castle. They compare it in the medieval action movies. It's a physical barrier. It protects from microorganisms and bacteria that may cause diseases. Sweat, tears, and mucus. These are secretions from the body that helps protect from diseases. It prevents from mucus and standpoint. Besides, it keeps things from drying out in your body and also catches pathogens that are either absorbed or spit out. And then we have phagocytes, which is another type of white blood cell that destroys foreign invaders by surrounding them and swallowing them. And then going on, one type of phagocyte is called macrophage. A macrophage is a giant phagocyte that lives in the tissue, and it eats its prey and will die in a few days. And then now we talk about the pack of proteins. This is the type of macrophage that we were talking about that eats the pathogens. Of course, it has a nucleus, and so these types of proteins are complements, and these proteins attach themselves to pathogens and then damage their plasma membrane, summoning the phagocyte to come and help them destroy the invader. So that's basically how we fight off diseases, fight off viruses. The phagocytes cannot fight the viruses because viruses take over the whole cell. So if a phagocyte were to eat the virus, it would also have to eat the human cell, which is not good. Down here we have the questions, but of course I'm going to help you go through it. So with that being said, let's go to the first one. So it talks about the human immune system is made up of 3 different systems. So we can go back to the beginning where it talks about the human system. Here we go. So we have the human immune system is made up of different systems, the lymphatic, innate, and adaptive. So if we go back, we have lymphatic, innate, and adaptive. So that's the first one. Number 2, match the following terms of its definitions. So the first one are small masses of tissue that filter lymph. We go back and we go to where we're talking about lymph system. We have, I believe the first one, small masses that filter lymph. That is lymph nodes. So the first one, the second question is lymph nodes. Let me spell it. And then second one, a fluid that forms when a water dissolved substance diffuses out the bloodstream and collects in open lymph capillaries. That would be tissue fluids. So tissue fluids is that answer to the second part of the second question. Oops. And lastly, a special type of white blood cell that defends against the bodies from foreign invaders like pathogens. That one is going to be lymphocytes. So it is a special type of white blood cell that fights against pathogens. Spell it. Okay, number 3, once the tissue enters the lymph capillaries, it is referred to as, we go here, and it's a lymph. So that is what it's referred to once it enters the lymph capillaries. And then this question 4 is a little bit tricky because it kind of talks about this in the beginning where we go back to the lymphatic system and the circulatory system. It's kind of jumbled up, so I broke it down already. So the first one, a system that circulates a fluid, that's lymphatic. Actually, that's both. Let me correct that. Sorry. That's both. So a system that circulates fluid, it's both the circulatory and lymphatic. Lymphatic circulates, not only, it doesn't circulate, it circulates lymphatic fluids and like tissue fluids, and circulatory filters blood. Which in the second one, a system that circulates blood, circulatory of course, a system that circulates tissue fluid, that's lymphatic, and then a system that has veins that flow to the heart, lymphatic, and we know this because in the beginning it talks about how lymphatic carries fluids towards the heart and not away from it, so that's how we know it's lymphatic. But in the last one, where it flows away from the heart, that is circulatory. Number 5, again, was tricky because it's a diagram. So if we go back, actually, it would be a little bit of a better demonstration. If I can find it. Right here. So the first one is tonsils. Next one is the appendix. And then this one is, the third one is the thymus gland. Fourth one is the spleen. one is the bone marrow, and then the sixth one is lymph nodes. So it's all of these were blank from that, but you could go ahead and refer to this if you want. Number 6. When the lymphatic system recognizes a pathogen, what will happen to the lymphocytes to fight infection? If we scroll down, we will find that answer. It will increase to fight infection and fight the infection. So they will increase. Parts of the body that fight or protect the body from a wide variety of diseases simply by being themselves. They are non-specific and always work in the same way, no matter which pathogens they are protecting against. This describes the, go back, the innate immune system. So it's right here. And that's the answer, so we click that. And then the last question is, a giant phagocyte is a, it is a macrophage. So a macrophage is a giant phagocyte that lives in tissue. So macrophage, and that is it. Thank you guys for participating in this lesson 5 for the human immune system. Let me know if you have any questions, and I appreciate your cooperation. Thank you.